Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
San Diego is a tough town for sports fans, but tonight, hopes are high. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. 3 local teams are all playoff ready. First up, the Padres, just minutes from their first game of the postseason. And KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer is live downtown where fans are gathering to watch the game. Jacob, can you give us a sense of the vibe with the Friar faithful?
Hi, Maya. Yeah, I'm here at Our Place Sports Bar and Grill, just outside of Petco Park. And there's actually a concert going on over there right now. But even though that's happening, fans are still packing in here to come together to watch the game. So what's happening is the Padres aren't at home tonight. They actually flew to New York to play a best-of-3 series against the New York Mets. We're just minutes away from first pitch here, but earlier today we spoke with sports bar owners and managers about what the team means to this city and to their businesses.
He's been really busy, really hectic. With the Padres, working towards the playoffs has been like a fever.
Juan Carlos Flores is the owner of Our Place Sports Bar and Grill, which is just outside the walls of Petco Park. While his business only opened 6 months ago, he can see the cultural and financial significance the Padres bring to the town.
With the playoffs, it's going to be, this area is going to really rock. I mean, the whole city of San Diego is, but us being across from the field makes it extra special.
Just around the corner from Flores' business is the Blind Burro, a restaurant and bar. Bar manager Anna DeCipio says business is very different from the last time the Padres were in the playoffs in 2020 during the height of the pandemic. But now,
right up until they made the playoffs, it was getting much busier. Even those teams that aren't as popular, those games are really busy.
She says downtown has come to life over the past year, and having multiple local sports teams in the playoffs, like the San Diego Wave and Loyal Soccer Clubs, adds to the revival of ballpark businesses.
I think during the playoffs, regardless of whether they're playing here or somewhere else, I think we'll see a lot of fans in here supporting the team nearby their stadium.
The Padres play tonight, Saturday, and potentially on Sunday. They'll need to win a pair of games so that they can advance in the postseason and hopefully take on their division rivals, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Reporting live from downtown San Diego, Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Governor Gavin Newsom is calling for a special legislative session about gas prices. He made the announcement on Twitter today saying he wants to address the greed of oil companies and saying it's time to enact a windfall profits tax directly onto oil companies. And that special session would happen in December. AAA says San Diego's average price for a gallon of gas is $6.39, matching the statewide average. But get this, in Mono County, it's $7.28 a gallon. With the November general election just about a month away, nearly 2 million ballots are on their way to San Diego County voters. KPBS reporter John Carroll has the important information you need to know about casting your vote this year.
You could get your ballot as soon as tomorrow. Registrar of Voters Cynthia Paz says everyone should have theirs in hand by the end of next week, and she has one big request of all of us.
The sooner we get your ballot back in the mail, the sooner we can process it into the count. So we're asking voters to act early. Don't wait until Election Day.
Here are some important dates and deadlines to remember this voting season. Cynthia Paz calls it Voting Month. Early voting begins Monday at the Registrar of Voters office located in the county complex in Kearny Mesa. Hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Ballot drop boxes also become operational across the county on Monday. Things really start kicking into high gear on the last Saturday of this month, the 29th. That's when 39 vote centers will be open. A week later, on November 5th, all 218 vote centers open. Of course, all voting centers will be open on Election Day, but with extended hours. If you're planning on mailing in your ballot, it must be postmarked no later than Election Day, and make sure you sign the secure envelope that holds your ballot. Ballots have been mailed to all registered voters in the county since November of 2020, and 2 years later, the registrar says that's how more than 80% of San Diegans now vote. If that holds true this time, Paz says we should see results shortly after the polls close.
After that initial count shortly after 8 p.m., we should expect our next unofficial election night results to come out right around 10 p.m.
Unlike in other parts of the country, Paz says there haven't been any threats against election workers here, but she says they're prepared should problems arise. And she says voters here can trust in an accurate count.
So we do a logic and accuracy test on every scanner across every voting target on every ballot in the election.
Along with your ballot, you'll also receive instructions on how to fill it out, a mapping tool for vote centers and drop box locations. Oh, and of course, your I voted sticker. John Carroll, KPBS News.
It's that time in the campaign season that brings the October surprise. Coming up, a look at the history of bombshells that changed the course of races. Parents who want their children to attend a specific school in San Diego Unified next year now have a window of opportunity to apply. KPBS education reporter MG Perez tells us the time is now for the best chance at a win in the annual school choice lottery.
It's getting close to Halloween. And here at the San Diego Unified Welcome and Enrollment Office, it's also the season for making choices.
You can apply up to 3 different schools that you're interested in.
Since the online application window opened Monday, more than 2,700 families have applied to get their children enrolled in the school of their choice. The process is designed to be user-friendly, with enrollment specialists taking dozens of calls each day answering questions.
La escuela que le corresponde a su domicilio es Rosa Parks.
First of all, it's a legal requirement. We have to offer parents choice, and it's the right thing to do. Sometimes the neighborhood school isn't the just right fit for a family.
Dalaga Hamkar is an immigrant from Afghanistan who moved his family to the U.S. almost 3 years ago. He came with his son this morning to apply for schools closer to their new apartment after moving from another district to within San Diego Unified boundaries.
It's good because the teachers are nice, and
the management is also better.
Applying through the school choice program means entering into a lottery for spots that include magnet schools or dual language immersion programs. Parents are also sometimes looking for convenience of campuses close to their jobs. The window for priority applications is open through November 15th. The lottery happens in February around Valentine's Day, and the odds are good that most families will get one of their top choices.
When it comes down to it, I don't think we want to restrict parents having to go to just one option, and kids are very diverse, right?
Yvonne Torres is a parent of 4 children who attended their choice schools in San Diego Unified. She's also the enrollment office manager. 2 of her children graduated from Point Loma High School, and her 2 younger children are on course to do the same, including her 10-year-old daughter, Abby.
I think she's aware that she is going to wear the same color robe as her older siblings, and that's what she's most happy about.
'Tis the season. MG Perez, KPBS News.
The San Dieguito School District is finding itself embroiled in controversy yet again. A photo being shared online by organizations like Stop Anti-Semitism show a board at Carmel Valley Middle School with pictures of notable world leaders, including Adolf Hitler. When a student pressed as to why, a teacher reportedly told him, quote, Hitler may have done some bad things, but he also had strong leadership qualities. The Simon Wiesenthal Center, a leading global Jewish human rights organization, issued a statement about the incident, saying they aren't interested in seeing anyone punished, but do want steps taken to ensure it doesn't happen again.
This incident and the cascade of decisions made up there, something is missing, folks.
The principal of Carmel Valley Middle has since issued an apology, and the district has said it will organize anti-bias training for staff, specifically around anti-Semitism. The comment is just the latest in a series of controversial statements made by people in the district. The superintendent was fired over comments about Asian students, and a school board member was accused of making transphobic statements. President Biden offered a stark warning, saying any nuclear move by Russia could lead to, quote, Armageddon. The president made those comments off camera during a fundraiser. This is happening as Russia continues to face military setbacks in Ukraine. Mike Valerio has the latest.
It was a chilling warning on the increasingly disturbing nuclear threats from Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Biden telling Democratic donors in New York on Thursday, quote, "We have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis. I don't think there is any such thing to use a tactical nuclear weapon and not end up with Armageddon." The warning comes as Russia contends with a string of defeats in Ukraine and a loss of Ukrainian territory the Russian Federation seeks to illegally annex.
Putin has failed in every strategic, operational, and tactical objective he has set for himself over the last 7 months.
While U.S. officials said Biden's candor reflects a mood of concern within the White House, they add the president's message is not based on any new intelligence about Putin's intentions or changes in Russia's nuclear posture.
At this stage, we do not have any information that would cause us to change our strategic deterrence posture, and we don't assess that President Putin has made a decision to use nuclear weapons at this time.
Yet retired Brigadier General Peter Zlak says Biden's remarks serve as, quote, a wake-up call.
As far as nukes in tactical use, I believe that you use one, you've opened up Pandora's box. We don't know where we will go from there.
Mike Valerio, KPBS News.
As war continues in Ukraine, it is fitting that people and groups involved in helping those impacted by the fighting were honored with this year's Nobel Peace Prize. Today, the prize was awarded jointly to Ukrainian and Russian human rights organizations. As the holiday season approaches, so do more indoor gatherings, and San Diego County officials are encouraging residents to schedule vaccinations for both COVID and for flu. They say that you can get both shots during the same visit. The bivalent booster shot is now widely available, and the CDC says it can help prevent against severe outcomes from disease. It takes about 2 weeks for the body to develop antibodies after the shot is received. San Diego County's case rate per 100,000 residents is just under 12% for fully vaccinated and boosted people, and just under 24% for San Diegans who are not fully vaccinated. New information suggests COVID vaccines saved a lot of lives in 2021. A study released today found vaccinations led up to 370,000 fewer coronavirus deaths last year, as well as nearly 700,000 fewer hospitalizations. Officials stated vaccinations also saved more than $16 billion in medical costs. Researchers came to this conclusion after they analyzed information from nearly 27 million Medicare enrollees. And with this in mind, health officials are urging more Americans to get updated COVID boosters. Fewer people are dying from breast cancer, according to a report from the American Cancer Society. However, the latest numbers are also highlight disparities. Mandy Gaither has a look at the racial gap and what some say needs to be done to close it.
Improved research, better treatments, and screenings have all led to fewer people dying of breast cancer.
The peak year was 1989, and since then, breast cancer mortality has actually fallen by 43%.
But the latest numbers from the American Cancer Society aren't shifting fast enough in the right direction for black women. The organization says overall, a black woman is about 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than a white woman.
If you're a black woman between the ages of 20 and 29, you're actually a double the risk of dying from breast cancer than a white woman of the same age.
The American Cancer Society says it's important to make sure health care is adequate for everyone.
Women of color, particularly black women, are not always have their mammograms or facilities are the best, not always called back as appropriately they are, and not always given the same opportunities for some of our newer therapies.
Screenings are key, but the organization says there was a dip in mammograms during the height of the pandemic. Well over 1 million fewer people went to their annual screening.
It's important if you do have cancer, we find it really early, because then we can do something about it.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A group of California water agencies have come up with a way to cut water usage in an effort to save the Colorado River. The agencies proposed cutting their annual allotment of river water by around 130 billion gallons, and they said that they'll need to use funding opportunities from the recently passed federal climate law, which contained $4 billion in drought relief. Starting in January, Arizona, Nevada, and Mexico will be mandated to further reduce their water usage.
Well, we have a warming trend taking over the next few days, and the warmest is going to be Friday into Saturday for us with an offshore breeze. That's a warm wind direction for us. It kind of nullifies some of the Pacific influence and just takes the air from the interior and pushes it right up to the coastline. There will be enough moisture, though, for a stray thunderstorm or two in the interior, as there is an upper-level low-pressure system lurking over northwestern Mexico. We're also going to turn cooler then next week, so there are some changes at play here. And overnight tonight, we're dealing with readings down to around 61 in Escondido, 67 in San Diego. On the cool side, we have Campo and Mount Laguna into the mid-50s. So you can see the moisture tied to that northwestern Mexico upper level low. It's ultimately performing more like a bit of late season monsoon on Friday, mainly well to our east. We're going to show you future radar, though. There's a small chance we could see a stray thunderstorm in our eastern counties, a little more likely into Friday night and Saturday. But Friday during the day, most of us dry. 98 in Borrego Springs, El Cajon 87, mid-70s out there in Oceanside and San Diego. But that offshore wind becomes a bit more established into Saturday, and that's again a warming wind for us here as we're going to be dealing with readings warming up several degrees above average. I want to step aside, though, because you can see just a hint, a couple of stray thunderstorms not too far from inland San Diego County and off to the east near Imperial. So we'll have to keep an eye on them, slightly more likely into the mountains on Saturday. Coastal forecast, we warm up to 77 on Saturday, 76 on Sunday. A little more humid than the norm for us for this time of the year. Inland areas, you can see we warm up to 84 Saturday, then we begin to hedge back down into the mid to upper 70s on Tuesday. Into the mountains there, we have a stray thunderstorm, perhaps late Saturday, more likely on Sunday, and we cool down pretty nicely. Quick look at the deserts. Hey, we're staying in the double digits. At least we're getting a little deeper into the fall, and stray storms Saturday and into Sunday as well. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jeff Cordish.
Recent job numbers, including the latest update out today, are influencing just how far the Fed will go in raising interest rates. SDSU's Miro Kopik explains in the Friday Business Report.
So the jobs report was kind of within expectations. The economy created 263,000 jobs. Unemployment rate ticked down primarily because of lower labor force participation. Wages increasing 5%. Wages are an important component of inflation. And the wages have crested and have been declining for the last several months. What is the Fed going to do? Given that this jobs report was probably still more robust than they would like to see, there's a 75% chance, according to traders, that the interest rate increase will be 3/4 of a point versus, what a lot of people in the market rally this week were hoping for would be a softer, more gentler 0.5 point increase. A slowing labor market, but probably not as fast as the Fed would like. And that's going to be an important factor when the next inflation report will be reported and how the Fed will react in early November before the next jobs report, which will be just before the election.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, the latest jobs report shows the employment market cooling, but the economy remaining steady. That's coming up at 7 right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
It may or may not be a game changer, but the 11th hour scandal surrounding Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker is just the latest in a long history of the October surprise before a November election. Eva McKend reports.
It's October. Leaves begin to change color, the weather starts to chill. But in the world of politics, it's when campaigns start to heat up, and it's when unexpected news or events often occur during the election cycle, commonly known as an October surprise. A game-changing event that can possibly damage one candidate's chances and boost the others. October surprises have been around for decades, and it is part of U.S. politics, even before the term was used politically. Going back 50 years to 1972, President Richard Nixon's national security advisor, Henry Kissinger, has late news about the unpopular Vietnam War.
We believe that peace is at hand.
He was wrong, and the war wouldn't come to a close for 2.5 more years. In 1980, in what was the October surprise that never happened, 52 U.S. hostages held in Iran were not released before the election, despite President Jimmy Carter's efforts. Instead, they were set free as soon as Ronald Reagan was inaugurated. In 92, Reagan's successor, George H.W. Bush, seeking re-election, was days away from the vote when a top Reagan team member, Caspar Weinberger, was indicted over the Iran-Contra affair. Bill Clinton took the White House. In 2000, in what was already a tight presidential race between Vice President Al Gore and then Texas Governor George W. Bush, news emerged that Bush was arrested 24 years earlier for drunk driving. Bush lost the popular vote, although he ultimately won the presidency following a controversial Supreme Court decision. 8 years later, with the stock market taking a nosedive and recession rearing its ugly head, GOP presidential nominee John McCain insisted,
"Fundamentals of our economy are strong."
Voters disagreed with this assessment, and what was once a tight race became a Democratic blowout, with Barack Obama winning. In 2012, in what was more of a September surprise than an October surprise, audio tape of Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney surfaced, characterizing almost half the voters as dependent on government handouts.
There are 47% of the people who will vote for the president no matter what.
President Obama went on to win re-election. In 2016, in what seemed like every event constituted as an October surprise, the Washington Post published a 2005 video of Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump boasting about being able to grab women by their genitals.
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the I can do anything.
Trump's Democratic challenger Hillary Clinton also faced scrutiny when the FBI reopened an investigation into her staff's use of a private email server.
We can be sure that what is in those emails is absolutely devastating.
They will reach the same conclusion they did when they looked at my emails for the last year. There is no case here.
And during the 2020 presidential election, where it was a true October surprise, Trump, along with the First Lady, tested positive for coronavirus, days after the first presidential debate with Joe Biden.
My wife Jill and I prayed that they'll make a quick and full recovery.
And while Trump tried to make his own October surprise in the closing days of his campaign, it all but fizzled, from a pre-election vaccine to a massive new stimulus package.
And again, ballots for the November election start going out to registered voters tomorrow. And for more information, you can go to kpbs.org and click on the Voter Hub tab. And there you'll find our in-depth ballot guide tailored to races in your area. It's happening right now at the Downtown Convention Center. TwitchCon is the convention for the live streaming video platform. About 90,000 people are expected to be there for the 3-day event. And KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen gives us a closer look into the economic impact it will have on the local economy.
Thank you for calling Credit Link. This is Desiree. How may I help you?
By day, she's a customer service rep.
All right, let's kill that baby.
By night, she's a zombie slayer. Desiree Preston is a streamer on Twitch, a live streaming platform.
A couple years ago, I would have said a gaming streaming platform, but it's really open for any kind of live streaming that you want to do. There's makers and crafting for anyone who's creative. It's a very, very wide platform these days.
That's what attracted fans and content creators like her to Twitch.
Hey guys!
There is no algorithm to beat. You just stream your content or watch your favorite streamer. That simplicity is why Twitch is catching on with the younger generation, says Nima Moshiri, a computer science professor at UC San Diego. During COVID, his students found Twitch to be more engaging than Zoom seminars.
Twitch is just kind of more associated with more easygoing, fun, friendly conversation rather than, I think the students as well as us, kind of associate Zoom as some of our more formal meetings or more formal talks or things like that.
And that brings us here to the San Diego Convention Center, where TwitchCon will be here for a 3-day convention. TwitchCon is designed for people like Preston. It's part pop culture convention, part tech convention, and part business conference. Typically, Twitch holds 2 conventions each year, one in North America and one in Europe. San Diego, in particular, has hosted the convention 3 times, including this year's.
So we're thrilled that they're back here in town.
San Diego Convention Center President and CEO Rip Ripito says it would be a boon for the local economy.
There are going to be 30,000 people a day here over the next 3 days. In 19, they actually had an economic impact of 65 million, and that was with less people. So it's going to be north of that 65 million in economic impact for the weekend.
But Comic-Con, this is not. Preston says the atmosphere is different.
Comic-Con is just this huge festival where I feel as if TwitchCon is more of a business conference than a fan convention.
All right, let's get into Darkest Dungeon. You know I love this game.
Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.